Hello, in this video I will test some of the new updates for CLO3D version 7.0. If you want to see how to install, then you can see the video linked in the description. Here we're going to start testing the trim update. For trim update, this is super exciting because we now have the capability to convert pattern pieces to trim. I have a file here open with a very simple skirt and top with some roughness map on it, and I will create a pattern piece that we can bring in here as a trim. So I would like this to be the same color as the skirt, so I will start by duplicating this fabric because I want it to look exactly the same. So I'm just gonna copy this fabric and I'm gonna already give this the name. So I'm gonna give this trim bug, and I'm gonna bring this little bug as a graphic on top of a pattern piece. So first, let's create the pattern piece. I'm gonna select rectangle, shortcut S, and I'm gonna click once. That gives me way too big of a pattern piece, so I'm just gonna do it 5 by 5. And now here, I'm gonna bring my little bee, and that will be the guide for my pattern. You can also work with the edit texture tool to place it a little bit better. And you can also make it a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, whatever you like. So again, this is just my guide. Next thing I'm gonna do is I will just work in the 2D window here, and I will basically cut out around the bee so I can get the shape that I want. And that will be my guide. I'm gonna just create some internal lines that go around, and pretty much I'm using this to trace the shape of the bee. If you want to have this perfectly symmetric, you can do half of the shape and then just clone the rest of it. This shape is a little bit jaggedy, so I'm just going to make it a little bit curvier by using the curvature tool and just shaping out the body a little bit better. Again, if you wanted this perfectly symmetric, I would do half and then just unfold. I don't really want this to be perfectly symmetric. I don't mind a little bit of freeform asymmetry. And my bee is now ready. So I'm just going to come to Trace Pattern tool. I'm going to right click, Trace as Pattern. I have the pattern in my hand. I'm going to place it on the side, and this is now my bee. I don't need this trim anymore. I'm going to remove the texture so that I can only see the shape and the color of my bee. And this is my bee. This is going to be my trim. We can now delete this. We don't need this anymore. The only thing I want to take a look is if this shape is proportionate to what I would like this to be. Work with sizing it, resizing it, and making it exactly the size that you like. Now I have this in my 3D window. I see it. It's exactly the size that I want it to be. It is the color that I want it to be. Next thing I need to do here, make sure you have the object browser and the property editor open, and under material texture mapping, left click and select unified. And now in the 3D window, right click and choose convert to trim. This now converted our bee to trim, and you can see that it disappeared from the 2D window. Let's do it again. So watch the 2D and the 3D window. I am going to right click on the bee and then select convert to trim. Now watch the 2D window. You will see that it disappeared from the 2D window. This is now just a trim that we can work with. So let's go just to the 3D window. You can see it here. Now we have this as a trim, and you can see that the glue bottle appears, and we can now affix this trim anywhere to the garment that you like. I'm gonna put it on her shoulder. Okay, now that I have that gray shadow in my hand, I know that I'm working with a trim, and I can place it exactly where I want it to be. Let's simulate and see if it's gonna move. Disappeared a little bit. Right there looks really good. And you can see that this is now affixed as a trim. More here, looks better to me. You can see that this is now affixed to her, and it looks really good. It really looks like a trim. The next thing we can do with this trim is copy and mirror paste. All you have to do is right click on this, copy and I have it in my hand. So here's the second one got placed below. So I'm gonna place the second one here on her shoulder. Let's try this again. I'm gonna right click on this and just mirror paste. Once you bring it close to the body, you need to click on it and make sure that the gray shadow appears. Once you have the gray shadow in your hand, then you can actually place it on the garment, and then it will sit on top of the garment and it will be glued or affixed to the garment. So this works slightly different than with normal trim, and it's a little bit trickier because just clicking on the trim and then trying to click on the fabric doesn't work. So this looks like it needs to be really close to the body in order to be able to affix it to the garment itself. And the last feature here is convert trim to symmetric pattern and mirror paste. I do not have a trim here that is affixed directly to a symmetric pattern, but what I will do is I will move one of these bees to the sleeve and then see if we can work it this way. So I'm going to move this down to the sleeve itself. According to this feature, should select the trim, duplicate to symmetric pattern, and this will duplicate the trim exactly on the other side of whatever the symmetric pattern is. So let's try that. So I'm gonna right click on the trim and select duplicate to symmetry. Symmetric? Should be symmetric pattern, not symmetry pattern, but let's say duplicate to symmetry pattern. And it does. It duplicates and places it exactly where the initial one is. So let's see if we can do one more of these, where I would like to copy and mirror paste one of these and then duplicate it to the symmetric pattern on the other sleeve. I'm gonna right click, copy, and then mirror paste. So it is in my hand and I happen to mirror paste it on the back. So I'm just gonna move it a little bit towards the front or more towards the side, so it's crawling up her arm. And also I will make this a little bit smaller. So I'm gonna come to this gizmo that gives me the capability to change the size a little bit. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller, so I'm happy with that size. So I have this. I just want to make sure that it's not sinking into the sleeve. That's fine. I'll just move it a little bit lower right here. This is good. I have it on one side of the sleeve. Let's see if we'll place it on the other side. So in order to convert trim to symmetric pattern and mirror paste it, we will right click on this and duplicate to symmetric pattern. And yes, it appears right here. So let's do this again one more time. Right click on it. Let me give you a better view here. So we're gonna watch what happens on this side of the sleeve. So I'm gonna right click on this, duplicate to symmetric pattern, and we can see that it appeared there. And these are the three features that we test. We converted a pattern to trim, we copied and mirror pasted a trim, and we also converted trim to symmetric pattern and mirror pasted. Basically, we copied the trim and mirror pasted it directly on the symmetric pattern. I would say that these are a little bit buggier. They don't work as easily as actual trim, but once you get the hang of it, you gotta make sure that you have the gray shadow in your hand and get really close to the garment, and then you can place it exactly where you want it. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to leave any comments and let me know what you think of these new features and how they work for you.